What if I told you that the biggest barrier between your idea and the story that you want to tell, the idea you want to share, and clicking upload isn't what you think it is? It's not your ability and it's not your lack of technique. Learning the technique is actually the easy part. The real obstacle is the gear. Camera gear gets in the way. It is the biggest source of friction. It's complicated, it doesn't always work the way it should, and you've probably already experienced this. You went out to film your ride, capture that great moment, maybe document an adventure, and when you got home, the footage was unusable. I mean, we've all been there. So today, I'm going to share the tricks that I rely on and the gear I trust that lower the barrier between the idea I want to share and the final video that you get to watch. The first thing you need to know is that story is everything, and it doesn't need to be an epic quest through the Himalayas. It can be as small as riding across town to try a new donut shop. I mean, that's still a story. But you don't want to try to document your Sunday ride in all of its detail. I mean, that's like your aunt who tells those really long-winded stories that never seem to go anywhere. I mean, you need a point or a destination, or you're trying to get to a place or complete a task or whatever. And you can make it even better and take it to the next level if you give yourself a timeline. And it can be imagined, right? Like, I have to get to the donut shop before it closes or before they run out of fritters. But once you have your point, you can make better choices. You can record only the moments that move the story forward. So instead of filming your entire day, you film when you hit traffic or a road closure. That's part of the story. That's the conflict. You know, not the 10 minutes of highway before. So don't shoot your entire day. Shoot the parts that change something. Now, we'll get into cameras and camera placement here in a minute, but to save yourself from hours upon hours of wading through your footage, one trick that I use is I'm recording, but if something interesting happens, I stop the recording once that's passed. That way, when I'm going through my footage, I can quickly scroll to the good stuff by going to the end of the video clip. Now, I'm sponsored by Insta360, so I'm going to be mentioning their cameras a lot, but I want to stress, you can make a good video with what you have available to you right now. Don't let not having a camera that's good enough hold you back. Use what you have right now. Now, I rely the most heavily on 3 cameras. First, my phone gets used all the time. The camera inside a modern smartphone is crazy good. And I also use a traditional action camera. I use the Ace Pro 2, largely because I don't want to risk my phone from getting damaged, or a traditional action camera, you can stuff it into weird places and get really clever shots. But the workhorse of my workflow is a 360 camera. When I go on shoots where space is limited and I can only take one camera, I'm taking my 360 camera. My phone and a 360 camera. Now, a 360 camera is 2 big fisheye lenses, and then the internal software stitches them together and erases the pole or the camera mount, and you have the 360 view of the world around you. Now, a lot of people hate traditional 360 footage because it can look weird and distorted, but that's easy to fix, and we'll talk more about that here in a minute. But a 360 camera lets me get 2 or 3 shots from a single camera location. So mounting it to my handlebars lets me get a point of view or POV footage, which honestly is the easiest to capture, but also the least valuable in moving your story forward. But from that same mounting point, I can also get a shot of me or those great shots of light flickering through the trees. A 360 camera effectively buys you time, and time is everything when you're filming a ride. And since we're on the subject of 360 cameras, check this out. This is the newly announced Insta360 X5 MM93 2025 Championship Edition. More than a number, and it is genuinely exciting. It blends high-end specs with a bold new design with a clear creator mindset. It was built in collaboration with world champion Marc Marquez. And this limited edition flagship camera takes it to the next level. It still has the giant sensor, the triple AI chip system for faster, sharper processing, the brand new pure video mode, which is awesome. We're gonna be talking about that in a minute. It delivers stunning footage even in low light. It's rugged, waterproof, has replaceable lenses. It has the bigger 2400 milliamp battery, capable of 208 minutes of recording. I mean, seriously, I can get an entire day of shooting out of just one battery. But it also comes with some serious accessories. The heavy-duty bike clamp, we'll be talking about those. The carbon fiber invisible selfie stick even comes with a 128 gigabyte SD card and a 12-month Champion Cloud album subscription for creators. So if you're like me, a MotoGP nerd, this camera is such a fun way to show off your love of the greatest sport in the world. I mean, look at this thing. I just love it. Now, believe me when I tell you this, good video is good audio. Audio matters more than anything else. People will forgive soft or blurry footage. They will not forgive bad sound. In fact, you build your entire story on the audio track first, and then you hang your visuals on top of that. And this is why I really do think the Insta360 has the lock on the industry. They understand the importance of good audio. Now, first, I can pair my Cardo straight to the Insta360 cameras, so I get clean, usable audio of my voice while I'm riding. But more importantly, pairing to my Cardo means I never need to strap the camera to my helmet. Now, helmet mounting used to be the only way to get good sound, because back then you had to use these stupid mic adapters and wires and stuff a microphone up into your helmet, but we don't live in that world anymore. And here's your safety message. Your helmet has one job it has to do, and that's to protect your brain. Don't compromise its primary purpose by strapping a lever to the side of your head for a shot that you can get another way. Insta cameras also use special muffs or protectors on their microphones, like this thing on the Ace Pro 2 or this screen on the X5. Back in the day, I would stick these fuzzy things over my microphones. They're called dead cats. That's actually what they're called. But Insta has built those into all of their modern cameras. But anyway, back to audio. Your microphone is more important than your camera. Now, I use Insta's Mic Air because it'll pair directly to the camera, or it has this transmitter that I can plug into my smartphone for when I need to record talking bits like this. It also comes with a dead cat, or you can even get bigger dead cats to cover the entire microphone. So whenever it looks like I have a tribble on my shirt, that tells you there's wind that you're not hearing. Now, when I really need that helmet shot, I'll use a clamp like this so I can take it back off. But better yet, the camera mounted to your chest is the same shot with a fraction of the risk. The same goes for selfie sticks. I mean, I love them, but I treat them with a lot of respect. A great shot that I rely on a lot and is really easy to get is to run the selfie stick off the handlebars or off the mirrors, but it's risky. And I can tell you firsthand that that swinging stick coming off the handlebars causes them to wobble back and forth. I really believe that this was a factor in Doodle's crash. She didn't deserve that just to get a shot, and neither do you. I also use a carbon fiber stick because it wobbles less, but this threaded end can pop out and who knows where it'll end up. So I try to always mount it in 2 locations. And I only use it for short stretches, and I try to ride as slowly as I can get away with. I mean, seriously, it is crazy how much having that stick attached to your handlebar affects the steering. You can feel it. This setup can prevent the handlebars from turning all the way, which can cause you to fall. So you got to pay attention to that. And honestly, with every camera mount, I double check that nothing can swing into the wheel, chain, or forks. If it falls off, it's not going to go someplace catastrophic. But I also rely on RAM mounts. They're fast, they're stable, they adjust easily, and they don't require you to spend half your day fussing with clamps and knobs. And I mean, if you're spending your entire ride adjusting your camera, you're not riding anymore, you're just filming yourself being annoyed. I like to place the camera, capture the shots I need, and then put the camera back into a safe spot and get on with my day. Here's how I often mount across the handlebars or the mirrors for a wider shot looking back at me, or a roller, a third-person shot like this. Now, depending on the bike, you might be able to get away with using the bars like on this Transalp, or I'll put the selfie stick somewhere across the rear rack so I can get that fly-along shot. Now, this is my personal bike, and look, I have RAM mounts on the engine so I can see the front wheel and the forks. I have this one that's permanently attached to the handlebars, which is the prime location. RAM mounts allow you to quickly move the camera to different locations in less than a minute. And you can buy RAM mount balls with bolts so you can sneak them all over the place. But back to the safety message. Be mindful of the camera and how much the bike leans, or if you need to get close to the edge of the road. I've stuffed more than one of these cameras into the ground because I didn't account for how narrow the road was or for how much the bike actually leans. So yeah, make good choices. Now, wide shots provide context, and I use little tripods like this. This one is great because I can just hang it from a branch, or I can sit it on top of a fence post, or this thing from Insta360, it pairs with the selfie stick, so I can just put it on the side of the road and then I just ride past the camera. I'll also put two selfie sticks together and create fake drone shots. And don't discount the idea of putting the camera on your buddy's bike and have them follow or lead you to create that drone shot illusion. Because look, POV footage may be the easiest to get, but it really does have the least value. If you want to make a more compelling video, you need third-person wide shots, and these are easier to get than you'd think, and you only need a handful of them, not dozens, to make your video just that much more engaging to watch. Now let's talk about camera settings. You can go extremely deep here, but the truth is simple. Even if you record at the highest possible quality, YouTube will compress it when you upload. So don't get stuck chasing perfection in your settings. What you choose depends a lot on the kind of content you make. But here's my honest approach. I shoot in full auto most of the time. Manual shutter and ND filters and all the advanced tricks can look amazing, but they also make it easier to miss moments when lighting changes. And I would rather have a slightly imperfect shot than no shot at all. Modern auto modes are much better than people give them credit for. For example, this Instacamera uses 3 dedicated chips, one of which processes the video before it even hits the SD card. Insta's active HDR is already solid, but their new adaptive tone setting is incredible. It pulls down harsh highlights and lifts deep shadows and makes both low light and bright light shots look far better than they should. The only limitation is that these modes often restrict you to lower frame rates, but that's not actually a downside. I shoot almost everything at 24 or 30 frames per second. I only use 60 frames or more when I specifically want slow motion. Humans perceive motion at roughly 24 to 30 frames per second, which is why movies still use 24 frames. When you watch your own footage, you're scrutinizing every detail, so you're gonna be tempted to crank the frame rate up. But your audience doesn't watch it that way. And honestly, I prefer better color and adaptive tone over more frames. And keep in mind that video is just a sequence of photos, right? 24 or 60 or 120 frames or images per second. So more frames per second means bigger files and more strain on the camera and on the computer. Higher bitrate modes like H.265 also demand more processing and make editing heavier. Now, how to edit a story is its own topic, but if you started off with a story idea, captured multiple angles and a bunch of shots, got some decent audio clips along the way, the edit comes together in a snap. I mean, it can get really complicated when you shoot a ton of footage and then try to find the story in the edit, which honestly sometimes happens. But I try to avoid this because I'd rather be recording a story than editing a story. So I try to streamline my workflow to minimize editing. Now, I mentioned you can make 360 footage not look like 360 footage, and you can do that either with the free software like Insta360 Studio. You create what's called keyframes. You define the zoom, the horizon, the angle, and the distortion, and lock that in with a keyframe. Now, if you are just starting out, I'd suggest going with DaVinci Resolve, the free version. It has everything you need, and you can upgrade to the full-featured Pro version later on for a pretty reasonable price. But once you learn an editing platform, you're going to be reluctant to switch to a new one. And Adobe is ridiculously expensive, and their annual subscription goes up every year. And most of us who are using it are only using it because it's what we know, not that it's any better. But start your edit with the audio track, build your timeline on that foundation, and then fill the gaps with visuals. And then packaging, that's your title and thumbnail. For thumbnails, honestly, keep them boring. A pretty image, clean background that complements, not copies, the video title. Avoid vague titles or titles that give away the ending. You want a title that creates a sense of curiosity. clarity plus curiosity always wins, right? Like, so should I have ridden 100 miles for a donut? Or I rode 50 miles for a donut and found something better. Your title should make the viewer ask a question, not answer it. I mean, you can just scroll the YouTube home screen and pay attention to the thumbnails and titles that catch your attention. And notice how simple and clean they often are. Look, here's the thing. I mean, the tech is a lot of fun, but you don't need perfect gear. You don't need perfect shots, and you don't need exotic locations. You need a perspective, you need a story, you need a voice, and you need to start. Make thoughtful choices, not perfect ones. And just like when you were learning how to ride a motorcycle, understand that the only way to get better is practice. Don't compare yourself to the giant channels. You're not going to compete with Revzilla or Fortnite and their team of copywriters and producers, an entire camera crew with sound guys, dedicated editors and graphic designers. Each video you upload, just make it better than the last one. And I am sponsored by Insta360, and I'm very proud of that. I love that I'm in a place where I get to work with companies that I believe in. I mean, I was using their cameras when I was buying them on my own. They're a huge part of being able to make this channel what it is. So if you are looking for new gear or getting into this, please consider Insta360. I mean, honestly, I've proven that they are durable. I put these things through the paces, I run them into the ground, they live a hard life, they hold up. Now, we are heading into Black Friday, so they are having some killer deals right now. And if you want to learn more, you can scan this QR code or check out the link down in the description. I also want to say that I am sponsored by Cardo, and legitimately syncing my Cardo headset to my Insta360 cameras is a big part of how I make content. So yeah, stop consuming, start creating. Don't let gear get in the way of your story and what you have to say. Now, if you want to see how I used every one of these ideas and tricks in a real-world ride, go watch my Touareg Rally adventure video. It brings everything here together in one place. Now, special thanks to our channel members and our sponsors for allowing me to do this. Thanksgiving is a time of thanks, and I am so grateful that I get to do this for a living, and I wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for you. Thanks so much for watching. Ride on and ride well.